Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a really fascinating question I received recently. A friend, let's call her Sandy, was about to interview with a company and asked me to check if it was a good fit for her. Now this might sound a bit out there, but when I looked into it, I got a strange impression. It felt like the company's fascia was unhealthy, and its awareness was stuck at the top of its head, completely ungrounded. My friend asked, does that even make sense? And my answer is, absolutely yes. It makes perfect sense, especially if you're used to perceiving energy in systems. Let's break down what this means in practical terms, and how you can use this kind of perception without getting carried away. First, let's tackle this idea of a company having fascia. Obviously, a company doesn't have a physical body with connective tissue, but metaphorically, it's a powerful way to describe the invisible structures that hold an organization together. Think about it. The fascia of a company is its communication pathways, how different departments connect and relate to each other, how decisions flow from one area to another. It's the organization's flexibility. Can it adapt, or is it rigid and stiff? When I say the fascia feels unhealthy, I'm sensing specific dysfunctions that are incredibly common in the corporate world. This often shows up as departments working in silos, completely disconnected from one another. You might see chronic tension between different roles or teams, where collaboration feels like a constant struggle. Information doesn't flow freely. It gets stuck or lost, leading to massive inefficiencies. Often you'll find dedicated employees constantly trying to compensate for these deep-seated structural problems, which inevitably leads to burnout, even when the root cause isn't obvious. So a company can look fantastic on the surface, great website, impressive mission statement, but underneath, the connective tissue is weak and inflamed. My read on the company's unhealthy fascia was just a different way of describing a very common, very real organizational problem. Next, what about a company having its awareness in the top of the head? This is another one of those intuitive reads that actually translates very cleanly into business terms. When a person is in their head, they're thinking, analyzing, and conceptualizing, but they're disconnected from their body and their feelings. A company can be the exact same way. A top-of-the-head organization is often very vision-heavy. It's driven by big ideas, grand strategies, and a beautifully crafted mission statement. There's endless thinking, planning, and talking about values. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You need a vision. But when that awareness isn't grounded, when it's not connected to the body of the company, you get major problems. This is where you see a huge gap between strategy and execution. The company might constantly pivot, changing direction before any real progress is made. Roles and responsibilities become unclear because everything is theoretical and no one knows how to translate the big ideas into daily tasks. Decisions are made by executives in a boardroom, completely detached from the people who are actually doing the work. As a result, employees feel unseen, unheard, and unsupported. They're the hands and feet of the company, but the head isn't listening to them. So when I said the company was living in its head, I was describing a pattern where the beautiful vision on paper just wasn't translating into a healthy, functional reality for its people. Now, this brings us to the most important point. When you get a read like this, the question isn't simply, is this a good company or a bad company? That's too black and white. The much better, more useful question is this company a good match for this specific person's needs and tendencies right now? In Sandy's case, I know she's highly sensitive. She can sometimes struggle with feeling ungrounded herself, and she can be psychologically fragile when she's under a lot of stress. So imagine placing a person like that into an environment that is itself ungrounded, poorly integrated, and living entirely in its head. A company like that could easily amplify her own instabilities. Instead of providing the support and structure she needs to thrive, it might feel chaotic and draining to her. This doesn't mean she shouldn't go to the interview, not at all. But it does mean she should go in with her eyes wide open, prepared to look for specific signs that confirm or contradict this initial intuitive read. She needs to be a detective, not just a candidate. And this leads me to a crucial word of caution. This is the part where we make sure this intuitive information stays helpful and doesn't become a source of anxiety. Your intuitive read on a company is a metaphorical diagnostic tool, not an objective final verdict. You can't treat it like a medical scan that gives you a definitive diagnosis, and you absolutely cannot treat it like fate, as if the outcome is already decided. Most importantly, don't let this subtle perception override practical, real-world data. The healthiest way to use this information is to form a hypothesis. For example, my intuition suggests this organization might have weak integration and poor grounding. Let's see if the interview experience supports that feeling. This turns your intuition from a judgment into a question, which is far more powerful. Then, during the interview process, Sandy can be an active observer. Does the interviewer answer questions clearly and directly, or are the answers vague and full of corporate jargon? Do the people she meets seem present and embodied, or do they seem stressed, rushed, and disconnected? Is there clear follow-through on what they promise, like sending information when they say they will? And after the conversation, how does she feel? Does she feel more centered and present, or does she feel more scattered and anxious? Her own nervous system will be the best confirmation she can get. It will tell her more than any subtle energy read ever could. So, to wrap this all up, yes, that initial analysis made total sense within a certain perceptual framework. And what's really important here is the evolution this represents. It's about moving away from trying to fix everything and instead learning to observe structure, awareness, and energetic patterns. It's about asking a smarter question, not is this good or bad, but does this support stability and growth? That's a huge step forward in using your intuition wisely. In fact, if this is something you all are interested in, we could even do a follow-up video on how to translate these kinds of reads into simple, plain language guidance for a friend, or maybe even build a practical interview grounding checklist that anyone can use in real time to assess a company's culture. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next one.